Like you said, my father did put everything on the line when it came to his title and his money, and just for what he felt he was doing. He felt what he was doing was right. So, it didn't matter about the championships and the dreams and all the talk about we're not playing for Donald Sterling, we're playing for our team. My father, obviously in boxing, you're not in a team sport, you're in an individual sport, so he has a different way of thinking. But he is aware, obviously, that it's a team sport. But he just feels that he just wouldn't play because obviously it wouldn't be settled within his heart, and he just wouldn't be able to get out there and do it after someone, speaking about African Americans that way, being that he is one, and just, being a racist like Donald Sterling is.
How do you feel? I mean, you're a world champion boxer. I mean, players and coaches across the league, Laila, were happy that this was dealt with seemingly so far quickly, severely, but indications are that, it could drag on into a protracted court battle. So how do you feel about it? What should the players do then?
Well, if it was me, I never tell anybody else what they should do. I wouldn't play. I feel that, the message would be heard much louder, if people's pockets were affected, and that's what would happen. These players obviously are making the NBA so much money, and I think that the situation would be handled much more swiftly and seriously if it was affecting the dollars that were being made. And I think that it would, beyond that, it would send out a message to the world that we're taking a stand for ourselves and just against people who are racist, and it has to stop at some point. So that's what I would do.
We said it looks like it's going to be a long, protracted legal battle. Let's just say, most people are saying it's not going to happen, but if the Sterlings in some way end up keeping this team, do you think they'll be able to get any black player, or any player, as a matter of fact, to play for them?
I don't know. Like I said, everybody makes their own decisions along the way, and the only way that I would be sure that I was doing the right thing would be not to play, because so many things happen behind closed doors, so many deals get made, behind closed doors, and I just wouldn't feel right playing for that team, not being in control of what is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think that if the players didn't play, if they didn't get on that court, then the decision might go more in their favor.
We're waiting to see. We're waiting to see if the Ali name comes into this, because numerous celebrity names have taken interest in buying the Clippers. Among them, 2 boxers, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Do you think either of them would make a good NBA owner, Laila?
I don't know the ins and outs of the business of the NBA, but I would say that, I heard that Magic Johnson was interested in buying the team, and I think that he would be a better fit.
You think he'd be a better fit?
Somebody such as that, yes, where that's actually their business. But I don't know. Hey, some people are just throwing it around because they want you to know that they have the money to buy the team if they wanted to. Some of the talk might not even be serious.
I got the money, so that's what they're doing. All right, listen.
Right.
Let's talk about Sterling's girlfriend. She has really been at the center of attention. It's surprising that she's even talking. This V. Stiviano. She spoke to Barbara Walters. I want you to take a listen to her comments, and then we'll talk about them.
I think Mr. Sterling's from a different generation than I am. I think he was brought up to believe those things.
What things?
Segregation, whites and blacks. But through his actions, he's shown that he's not a racist.
So, Laila, what do you think of V. Stiviano? And second question, I mean, do you see this as generational? That's what she says.
First of all, let me just say I have no respect for her or women like her. So I really don't care what she has to say at this point. I'm glad that this information about Donald Sterling came out through her, but she's obviously a mixed up individual. She doesn't even have any respect for herself to be dealing with him in the first place, knowing that he feels that way about her because she is half black. What I do respect is companies like the State Farm Insurances and the Virgin America Airlines and Mercedes-Benz and others who have actually stood up, taken a stand by pulling, their sponsorship dollars from this company, from the Clippers, because they want to show that they don't condone racism and discrimination. But as far as to answer your question, these days, at the end of the day, nobody's going to say anything if you bring black guests to your games or anything like that. Everything's a big melting pot right now. So that's just the way that he personally feels, because he's a racist. And, you know, like I said, being that he's dating, allegedly dating a woman who's half black just shows that he's just ignorant, you know, and he doesn't make any sense. But I just hate the fact that there's more people like Donald Sterling out there that are racist, but they're quiet about it.
Well, that's my question. He's 80 years old, right? And people keep saying, oh, well, cut him some slack because he's 80. I don't think you should cut anybody slack because they're 80. And my question, do you think it's generational?
I think that there are people that were around, such as my father, when there was still discrimination and segregation, and you either chose to be a certain way or not. You know, and some people were brought up that way. But, you know, if you have an open heart, then you at some point, just like when you're a child, you thought certain things, and then you grow up and you see what's real, and then you see what's right, and you see what's wrong. You know, so there's never an excuse for that. There's never an excuse for hate. Period.
You mature and you become an adult and you realize what's right and what's wrong. I want to ask you about this poll. Now, Laila, it just came out today. It's a new CNN poll, and it shows that the public is about equally split on whether or not Sterling should be forced to sell his team. 47% say yes, 50% say no. Does that surprise you?
No, I shouldn't say that it surprises me because, you know, like I said, there's a lot of people out there that possibly think closer along the lines of Donald Sterling. I don't see how anybody could think that he shouldn't have to sell that team. How can you not put yourself in a human person's shoes and think, okay, these team players have to play for this man, you know, and he should be profiting off of them? I just don't understand, you know, that frame of mind. You know, but unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, put the mighty dollar on a pedestal, and that's all they're thinking about when it shouldn't even matter at this point, the money that's concerned there.
Do you think that has something to say about the psyche of America, that people have certain internal feelings, and that's causing them to feel that he shouldn't have to give up his property because they may have those sorts of feelings and they wouldn't want them exposed?
Of course. I mean, there's some of that. I can't say that everybody. I mean, look, people harass me on Twitter all the time. I mean, and I don't respond so people don't know. They say all types of things. There's probably people looking at me now saying, look at her sitting up there talking like she knows what she's talking about. Who does she think she is? You know, that's the same way a lot of people felt about my father back in the day, simply because he loved himself, you know. But guess what? People are just going to have to get over it because we're all living in this world together. And, you know, you're going to either have to deal with certain people now or later, you know. And I think that as long as we have hate in the world and discrimination is going to come around full circle, you know, and hit you right in the face. So it's like people need to just start learning to open up their hearts and start looking at the things that are more like in one another than the differences.
Here's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar over the weekend. Listen.
This is a problem. I did a little bit of research. More whites believe in ghosts than believe in racism. It's something that's still part of our culture, and people hold on to some of these ideas and practices just out of habit and saying that, well, that's the way it always was. But things have to change.
So the larger point is, Laila, and I wrote a column similar to this, is that people who make racist comments don't believe they're racist at all. Can we recognize our own races, our own biases, the way that we recognize other people's biases? Can you be that ignorant of the fact that you are racist when you make such comments, that you're not knowing that you're racist when you make such comments?
Well, racism is ignorance as far as I'm concerned. So yes, I think that people can be that ignorant, and maybe they just feel that because they're not, you know, burning people's houses down and hosing them down and sicking dogs on them, that they're not racist. But anytime you think you're superior to someone because of the color of their skin, then you're racist. And, you know, a lot of times people just feel like, you know, well, it's not our fault, that's just the way that it is because they're just lesser than we are, and that's the way that they were born. And that's something that has been passed down, that thought. I mean, from the first time we learn about slavery in school as young children, and you're too young to really understand. You know, the black kids probably will feel like, okay, well, I can say I'm black. I mean, you're just like, well, why did that happen to us? You know, and it might make you feel like less. And then the white kids might feel like they were more superior, you know, because kids don't understand that. They're too young to be learning about it. And it's going to make you feel some kind of way inside unless somebody sets it straight. And unfortunately, depending on what household you live in, you know, it's either going to get set straight or that thought's going to be made even stronger, you know. So, you know, unfortunately, that's just the world that we live in.
Laila, I follow you on Twitter, and so I know you have been talking about this story. I don't send you the terrible comments because I'm a big fan of yours, but I can't let you go without getting your thoughts on a big story that we have been following here on CNN, especially CNN International, for weeks now, that you care deeply about. It's the abduction of the more than 200 young ladies, schoolgirls in Nigeria, and a man claiming to be the Boko Haram leader said that he now plans on selling them these kidnapped girls. What are your thoughts on that?
That's the type of thing that saddens me way more than this Donaled Sterling story, because these are children that we're talking about, and obviously I have a young daughter, a 3-year-old daughter, and I know that, you know, this is happening all around the world. You know, not in these big numbers like this, but the sex trafficking, what are they calling it? You know, with the prostitutes and turning these young girls into prostitutes and slaves and things like that. You know, something definitely has to be done about it. I don't know what needs to be done, but something has to be done about it. And I know that a lot of people are complaining that it's not getting the coverage that they feel that it should be getting. So I'm glad that we are talking about it now. And I definitely want to look into it and see how I can get involved, because it has to stop.
All right. I want to tell you that you can catch Laila Ali on Celebrity Wife Swap. That's tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Make sure you watch this show and DVR that at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Laila, for joining me. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on.
Up next, what